Hello and welcome back, everyone. We are now programming in Python again. Woo! In this video, we're going to be trying to create a program that can solve this problem. And currently, this program takes two user inputs. First, a value, a starting amount of money, which is like a starting point of the amount of money we had before we started selling cookies. And the second input is going to be either a string of B or C. Basically, we're going to have selling either big cookies or just normal cookies. So example, if there were 6 C's, that means we sold 6 cookies. If there were 3 B's, that means we sold 3 big cookies. And our goal of our program is to output the number of cookies sold and profit, which is calculated by our sales subtracted by the cost of making that cookie. So the normal cookies is $1.25 and a big cookie is $2. To make a normal cookie is 50 cents, but to make a big cookie is 75 cents. So, and we want to know also the total amount of money that we have after selling all those cookies as well. So as always, let's start with our input. We want starting money, so we're going to call that start money and set that equal to let's say a float input. The float function helps to cast its argument to a real number. Basically, it's going to allow us to have some decimal value, unlike integers, which only can have positive, negative whole numbers. And then we're going to have, let's say, cookies sold. This is going to be our second input where we got to calculate our and see how many cookies we sold. And we're just going to call that as input because we just want strings and we want to analyze that string. We're going to go into processing. We're going to start off with relatively the easiest one, and I'm going to show you two ways how to do this. Is first and foremost, we need to calculate the number of total cookies sold. So we can say cookies sold is equal to 0. I haven't figured it out yet, so I'm initializing. So this is an example of variable initialization. Okay. And here, what I'm going to show you is like a really simple loop. When you have a collection of things, such like string, lists, sets, tuples, and dictionaries, these are something called iterable, something that has items that we can look through. And a loop that helps us look through each item is called a for each loop, or in Python, it's called a for loop. So we're going to say for something, I'm going to leave it as an underscore, in cookies sold. Now I just realized I put those two variables together, so we can say big cookies and normal cookies. We haven't found how many normal cookies we have. We haven't found the number of big cookies we have, so we're gonna have those two variables initialized. So we're saying for something. We haven't set anything here yet. I want to explain that later. And we're going to say it comes from cookies sold. As in, now we're going to be able to iterate through and look at the individual items of a string in this case. And since we're looking through cookies sold, we're going to say that, well, we're going to say current cookie. Okay, we're going to call this variable that our for loop needs to represent the cookies inside cookies sold are going to be called current cookies. Okay, so if I want to show you just what current cookie is, I can just run that code and print that iterating variable. So let's run this code. I can say vid o5py and execute a Python code like so. We're going to start with $10, let's say, and we sold normal cookie, big cookie, normal cookie, normal cookie, big cookie, normal cookie, normal cookie, normal cookie, like so. And if you notice, on the very first iteration of my for loop, it outputs C, the very first cookie that we sold, and it goes in order. This variable, the iterating variable of a for loop, is going to represent each individual items in a string or a list or whatever you are iterating through. Okay, and it's going to be held by the current cookie. So we can say that, well, if the current cookie is equivalent to, let's say, C, That means we can increase cookies by having its prior value and increase by 1 by saying cookies is equal to cookies whatever was before plus 1. Now that's a lot of writing. If you want a quicker way to write an equivalent line of code, we can do plus equal 1 to increase cookies by 1. And we're going to say, well, if the current cookie is not C, but I want to compare it with something else, this is where we use an elif, which is an equivalent to this. This is an else if condition where like it's not this, but I also want to still check another condition. To do so, what we want to do is go current cookie is equal to B. Right. And at this point, we're saying we're going to start a new code block. That's why we have a little quotation mark saying our code block starts here. Inside here, we started all this code block. That's why we indented everything, because indentation in Python is important. And we started a inner code block for the for loop. And then right here, since we found a big cookie where current cookie is equal to the letter B, we can say that the big cookie counter increases by 1. Okay, so we're looking through the individual characters in our set string, and we get to increase this variable by 1 and this variable by 1 as long as we find either C or B in our string. Else, we can write a little message, say that current cookie, let's do F strings here, is not a valid sale item. All right, we can now put a little cute little message that can output said anytime we see something else that's C and B. So right here in our process section, we have finished the for loop. So I like to put a little comment saying end of for loop, and it can tell me that I've fully exited the for loop's code block, and now I'm starting out in my normal indentation line. Okay, so total number of cookies. So we can say total cookies is the sum of big cookies plus the normal cookies, and that is our total number of cookies sold. So we got our very first output ready. Perfect. Now we need to calculate profit. Okay, we can say profit is equal to, I'm just going to make myself easy. Per every big cookies that we have, we make $1.50, because I can just take, $1.25, because I can take the $2 and subtract 75 cents. For every normal cookie, I can say that we make 75 cents because we cost 50 cents to make, and we're selling it for $1.25. So we'll do some little bracket-based mathematics. We could say big cookies multiplied by 125, and then we're going to add that up with another bracket saying we're going to get our normal cookies and multiply that by 0.75, and that should give us our total profit of how much money we made. Okay, and then afterwards we can say that end of day, we can say end of day calculation, where we are going to add up our starting amount of money that we had with the amount of money that we made. So we can say start plus profit to get that calculation. So we'll go to our output. We can say print. We'll do a little F string here. We say we sold total cookies. We made profit like so, and let's say that we now have end day amount of money. So let's actually try to program and run this code. So let's say we started with 34.50, and we have, ABC, CCCCC, BBBB, CCCCC, F, like that, and just press enter. Oh, and I called it start. Oops, it should have been called start underscore money. Mistakes happen. Let's erase this. Oops. Here we go. Let's run this code. We're going to start off at 34.50, and we sold ABC, C, 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 B, B, C, 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 F, like say. And it says there right away that A is not a valid sell item, nor is F. And it says here we sold 11 cookies. We have B, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Perfect. And it says we made $9.75, and now we have $44.25. So there you go. This is a nice little introduction to actually having some meaningful, fruitful Python program. We got to see how a for loop would work by using it on a string. We also have a multiple conditional based if statement to help us out to see if how can we tell if a certain character is C? How can we tell certain character is B? And we have something like so. Now, I'm going to modify this code. So what I'm going to do is actually just really comment this out. Let's see if this works. There we go. I commented all that out. And what I want to do is instead of having big cookies to be 0 and cookies to be 0 like that, I'm also going to code this, comment this out. And do the following. We're going to say big cookies is equal to this from cookies sold. I'm going to count for the letter B. And then for cookies, we're going to go from cookies sold and we're going to count the letter C because the cookies underscore sold variable is a string variable, and strings are special objects in Python and they have their own methods. And this is a very cool thing that we can learn about strings later on, where float and input right here are examples of functions that are built in that can be used on many different data types. But certain special data types like the string is a representation of a string object, and objects have methods attached to them. They have their own superpowers attached to them, and one of those superpowers that strings have is count. We can count for a character pattern or a string pattern that exists within our string that we're working on. And since cookies sold is a string, we're able to count the number of B's and number of C's that we have so that we don't have to code all this. Okay, let's save that and let's try that again. We're going to start with 3450, and I'm going to go A, B, C, 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 B, B, C, 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 F, and we get the same result with just 2 lines of code rather than writing all this. Now, just because we executed and only wrote 2 lines of code doesn't mean that our previous code was bad. We will actually do a deep dive into that in a next unit where we look at efficiencies and algorithms. But for now, it is really cool that we can actually code things differently by using all the tools that are available in Python programming. And as always, thank you for watching and stay classy.